And for more tonight, we do want to bring in former CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield. He served as director from 2018 to 2021 under President Trump. He was also a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Dr. Redfield, I particularly appreciate your perspective on this tonight. And let's start with what Leah Lando was just describing, the 17 Americans who disembarked from the Hantavirus-stricken cruise ship today in the Canary Islands. We know CDC staff evaluated them at the scene. They're going to be taken to Nebraska for a brief visit, not a full mandatory quarantine. Why make that optional? Why not quarantine these passengers out of an abundance of caution, especially with the 6-week incubation period?
Yeah, I just think it's a judgment call. I think what you're going to see happen when they get to Nebraska, I know CDC is going to be there. They're going to do an aggressive, what we call risk assessment. And then depending on that risk assessment, they'll recommend either staying at the facility or potential isolation under observation at home. And, you know, different individuals, if they're given a choice, may choose to want to just stay in a facility rather than necessarily go home with the uncertainty of whether or not they may, in fact, be
yeah, I mean, I think some might choose to stay, but others have life responsibilities. They want to return to their communities. They have children. They have to go back to their jobs. Yeah. You say it's a judgment call. Is this a judgment call you would have made?
I'm pretty conservative. I think my instinct would be to have the individuals, because the incubation period can be, as you know, up to 8 weeks. I think I would probably err in keeping people in isolation. But it's a judgment call, and I have a lot of confidence in Jay Bhattacharya and the current leaders and subject matter experts at CDC. We know a lot about this virus. The challenge we have, about people going back and looking for symptoms is the symptoms for this virus when you start to get symptomatic are very nondescript. I mean, it's fever, it's aches and pains, it's diarrhea, it's headache. I mean, it could be flu, it could be COVID, it could be any other respiratory illness. And so it just makes things confusing. It's a little cleaner if we know we have them in a controlled environment. But I think they're going to give them the option. I mean, we did something very similar during the COVID pandemic where we gave people initially, they all went to the military bases that we brought up to speed. But then we gave people the option to go back and to be followed by their local health officials.
I mean, some Americans, let me ask quickly, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we're almost out of time, and I really want to ask you a couple more questions here. Some Americans who previously left the ship already returned to their communities without any kind of check, without any kind of quarantine. They're being told to self-report if they're experiencing symptoms. People are worried about this, Dr. Redfield. Are you concerned about the as many as 40 people who already disembarked, who already went home in 12 different countries?
No, I think that the health groups are following them. The one thing I want to stress is that this virus, hantaviruses in general, are transmitted rodent to human, rodent
but
to human.
Is this the Andes virus? Is this the Andes strain, which does spread human to human and has up to a 50% mortality rate?
Yeah, the Andes virus is the one hantavirus that can transmit human to humans and go human to human very inefficiently. But obviously, we've shown evidence that it did. On this ship, it clearly transmitted human to human. The doctor, I think, got infected by taking care of the patients. But it's a very difficult virus to transmit. So, if I was on the boat and now being shipped back to Nebraska, I would choose to stay there probably for 42 days rather than come back and, try to exist in my house just to make sure that I didn't have any evidence of the virus and didn't have to deal with it. But as I say, I think it's an option. And I don't know what CDC will finally decide, whether they'll decide to ask, people to stay in the facility or not.
Yeah, it does seem like they're allowing people to make that call for themselves. I want to ask you one more question with the time we have, Dr. Redfield. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, there is such distrust, unfortunately, in our agencies, in our science. People are scarred by this, not just from the general trauma of having lived through this, but by the messaging that we saw early on in the pandemic. Sanitize your groceries, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, and then it coming out that being told not to wear a mask was to preserve the PPE and gear for the medical professionals who really needed it at the time. Given all of that, what do we need to do next for the next pandemic? What lessons do we need to learn to not have a repeat of that situation?
Well, you hit the most important thing that we lost during the last pandemic. I think it was public trust, and you can't have public health without public trust. Public trust should go both ways. We should ask the public to trust us, and we should trust the public. And I think, my argument is, and I did get criticized for this when I was CDC director. One of my answers to many questions were, I don't know the answer. And people would say, well, you can't say you don't know the answer. You're the CDC director. I said, but I don't know the answer.
Do you think that
any? You tell them the truth. You got to tell the truth, and I think that's the beginning of how we begin to rebuild public trust. You don't make up answers just because you feel you need to have an answer.
I really appreciate that. Do you think that Americans and that the public should trust everything that we're hearing from the WHO and the CDC right now, that this public threat is low for this virus?
I think for this virus, I have a high degree of confidence that they're accurate. Remember, with the COVID virus, when it came, when I was CDC director, we didn't know the COVID virus. It had never been really in humans before. These hantaviruses have been around since the 1950s. We had the huge outbreak in the Korean War. The U.S. military had a lot of experience with Korean hemorrhagic fever. Actually, for the Andes virus right now, there's been an outbreak in Argentina since last July. There's been over 100 infections in Argentina. It's spread out of Patagonia into the middle of Argentina. As you mentioned, unfortunately, it's had about a 35 to 40% mortality. But we know these viruses. We've studied them for over 70 years. So I think we can have a much higher degree of confidence that we're making sound decisions based on, decades of scientific evidence about how these hantaviruses act.
I hear that.
Said, I still think there's a advantage to approach these things with a high degree of caution. And you are right. When the COVID pandemic started, the WHO and said, very definitively, there was no human-to-human transmission. Right. Very definitively, you can't get asymptomatic infection. And, they were wrong. And so it does cause the American public at least to have some skepticism. But here, I have a lot of confidence in CDC. The subject matter experts on this, I know them. Jay Bhattacharya, who's the acting director, I know well. I have a lot of confidence in his judgment. So I think the American public should rest that we have really good experts here, and based on the history and the knowledge that we have in this class of viruses for over 50.
Yeah, I appreciate that the virus is well known. That 30 to 50% or 40% mortality rate, it scares me, and I think it scares a lot of people. Yeah. But Dr. Redfield, I really appreciate the candor and the time tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. God bless, Natasha.
You too.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.